Hello, and welcome to this Musescore tutorial. I'm your host, Marcus Unlimited. So we're going to be using this awesome open source software, Musescore, to compose a pristine digital musical sound effects that can be used as a game asset. Now, let me show you the typical type of scenario that you would want to use this type of little progression for. And if you're not adept on the music theory, I'm going to show you exactly how to enter this, and you'll learn a lot just by following the steps. And if you're more on the music theory side, but you're not adept with the technology of this program, you're going to learn that. I'm going to very clearly illustrate how to do everything in a concise and precise manner as we possibly can while covering so much potential power in a program. So, the book bonus. Let me explain what's happening here. In many, many games, there is often, especially if there's any travel aspect to the game, the characters often are searching at some point for some type of magical ancient scroll, some ancient book of wisdom, or the journal of a particular character that they're supposed to go save or find. And you might get something a little bit like this. So they're walking around and they've been wandering around. They went and collected all the gold in the land, and outside, let's say this is an old house by the beach, and in the distance they see this great castle, but they've heard that how to find the castle is stored in this ancient secret book, and they're walking in. Hey, wait a second. Stack of old books, old building, old house. We found everything else in this level. Let's get a little bit closer. And as they go a little bit closer, there's like this imaginary, you know, trigger that the programmer, and if that's you, you put this collision event. Sometimes they call it something like that, or sometimes they call it another name. And you walk into this zone, and it's going to trigger this event by kind of like a half cutscene type thing, and the book opens up, and you have this tremendous find that happens in the book, and now there's going to be this great page that rolls up on the screen, and somehow amidst all these wonderful graphics and 3D scenes and wonderful music, somehow you have to suddenly convince your game player to do some serious reading. We all love reading, but we know it takes some energy to do so. One of the great ways to inspire that is the right type of music, okay? So what I'm thinking is we're going to have this creep up happening in this kind of exploring really slowly, really concerned about the house. And what just happened there is we just went from an E minor, and it's going to do this very surprising transition to, instead of being all gloomy, wait a second, we just found it, the magic book. Okay, cool. So, Musescore is right here. I'm going to click on this. And for those of you who are maybe tuning in as the very first tutorial, a lot of times I like to explain how I don't really like to go over exactly how to find and download something that's so easy to find and download. Let's not waste all of our time with that. We all know how to do that. I'm just going to show you, if you're unfamiliar with this program, Musescore, musescore.org. And this is the program that we are running, and it's completely free and totally awesome. So I'm going to go to File up here. I'm going to select New, and our title, we're going to call this Book Bonus, okay? And to check our sounds, I believe I ran a few test versions, so let me go ahead and call this version 3. Okay, you don't have to do that. That's just for your teacher here. And I'm clicking Next. And notice we had all our right copyright and composer information for myself. And if you make changes to this, you have your own thing. We're going to choose, they have all these cool preset templates, but we want to choose instruments. And what I'm going to do to benefit all who might be working with this, whether it's people more on the technical side or even established musicians who want to look right at this thing and know what's happening from high to low, we are going to add the instruments from the highest pitches that are going to happen on down to the lowest. The first thing I want is this really cool little tiny double strike bell sound called a crotalis. In a previous video, we used the glockenspiel, which is also a great sound, but we want something really it has this neat little double strike to it, and that's going to be our highest pitch instrument. The next thing we want is we want some beautiful mezzo-soprano voices here, which are still high, thus the soprano terminology connected there by the hyphen. But at the same time, we don't want it too low because we want a little bit of kind of mystery that's going to go into something angelic, and a beautiful voice for that kind of darkness to angelic power thing is a mezzo-soprano thing. So we're going to choose the mezzo soprano, we're going to add it, and that's going to be our medium high, so to say. And then the next thing we want is, okay, I want the little walk up to be done by a really great instrument for that, which is called the oboe. So I'm going to choose the oboe, and I'm going to add the oboe. And then I want this kind of like, since we had a little couple there, but I think even there, I love the idea of two. There's a high energy of, ooh, what is this? And there's also a reserved, wait a second, what are we coming up on? I want that wait a second sound. In fact, this instrument kind of sounds like wait a second. When you hear it, you'll be like, so it sounds like wait a second. So we're going to choose the wait a second instrument, the contrabassoon there, and I'm going to add this. And this is our pitches, so that for anyone who's working with a lot of different dimensions in their programming and such, they can just glance at the score. I love this, like old school music notation, but using this technology and the way we lay it out, using the advantage of the planning that happens in that. And there we go. We got our instrument set up, and we're going to go here. Let's stay with next until it cancels out finish. So for us, to make sure we got everything covered here, that's the easiest and smartest way to do this. Now, when I was playing around on the piano, I noticed that it was in the key of E minor. And guess what? This is the key of E minor right here. It's also the same key signature for G major, so G major, but it's also using the same notes but starting from a different aspect of the scale. That's generally what we're going to be working in. That's what we want. We want E minor. Damn, let's see. Okay, so yeah, it's going to be at 120, and let's go. Let's say we had to change that. Let's say we were thinking, just to show you. Let's say well, what if we want 118? Okay, so 118. Yeah, let's do that. Okay, so next. 1, 2, 3, 4, and okay. So doing a little feel there of what I want to happen with that oboe, and I'm going. You know what? That is going to be 4/4. 4/4 is usually the most common. Sometimes we do 3/4 more, the waltz thing, but and there's other ones. You can come up with all kinds of interesting ones, but it's usually like the idea of a duple and triple meter, fancy terms there. But and let me think about measures. Okay, so do we want? Is it going to be? Well, I think it might be. I think it's actually going to be 3, but just to be on the safe side, and we can always very easily delete it, let's go ahead and go with 4. And you'll notice we don't have a next because it's been dimmed out. That has let us know we've done all our predetermined aspects of the score are set in place, and we're going to click finish, and there we go. So we've already put some work in there. Let's establish a save, and we're going to go save as, and we're going to go book bonus version 3. I like it. There we go. Let's save. Okay, so, and if we do decide to change our tempo, we can just go right up here and change it. We may end up doing that. So I want to do our little walk up first because that kind of drives the whole piece. So we're going to that cool oboe sound. Now I just selected the measure that I want to work in, and you're going to notice I'm going to press the letter N on my keyboard. That puts me into note entry mode. And when I press N, you're going to see this little icon here light up, that N with the cool little, note shoe on it there. And you'll notice it also shows its corresponding keyboard input. But let me just show you from over here. I'm going to press N, and bam, up there, it went up into our section. So really quick thing, we want to increase this workspace view so that we can see what we're doing here. Okay, very nice. So now that we have this on screen, let's move this a little bit. I'm going to step out of note entry so that I can move this around without adding any notes or doing anything funny there. And now I'm going to press the letter N again. There we go. And these particular lines here, just a quick overview on this. You see this really fancy symbol here. Some people may already know this is called the treble clef. And when we have the treble clef on a staff here, this is the order of the notes on the lines. Every good boy does fine. So we have every good boy, boy does fine. And those are the lines. The spaces spell F, A, C, E. Right there. Okay, so the spaces spell face, and the lines, the acronym for the first letter of each one will be every good boy is fine, or EGBDF from the bottom up. Down here, we have some different notes, and we're going to talk about that in a second. But all of these ones, the treble, follow that order. So what's great is even if you just put this E here and then use this E and bounced them all back and forth and everything, you would get some interesting sounds. But I kind of know exactly what we want, and I want to start right at that root note, and we are going to go. So we have, and I want a little double up there. So we are going to click. We're going to go to. I just pressed the right arrow to put me right on that rest, and I'm going to switch to my eighth note here. There we go. And then it's going to start another walk up, but just a little bit higher. And there we go. I moved it into this measure, and we're going to go. We started here before, but I want this one to start as if they're progressing forward. I want to do something like that, so we're going to go. You know, it'd be neat. Okay, this is going to sound a little strange right now, but I'm going to add in the majors. So this has been walking up the minor scale. So that means we're going to go to the third here, and we're going to go. So let's do like what I just did there is I selected a half note and also an augmentation dot, and what that's going to do is that's going to add 50% of the time. So a half note is 2 beats. This is going to turn it into 3. And it's going to be on the third. That's not the note I want, so what I'm going to do is on the arrow, you see I pressed the up arrow once I had this note selected, and it raised it, but by the accidental, which is perfect. That's exactly what I want for now, and of course it added our, and it's going to sound strange as a single line. In fact, let me show you, but when I add the other components of the major chord, you're going to be like, ooh, that was cool. Okay, so, and it's not me, it's the power of the music theory. Okay, so let me go back here, and let's get out of note entry so that we don't do anything to our cool notes that we like. Okay, cool. Nice. Now, we hear this and we go, what in the world? Well, when we add the other components of that chord, you're going to go, oh, that was a nice transition. Okay, you know, and then some people are going to be like, oh, you know, I knew it was going to happen like that. I knew it was going to work out that way all along. Okay, so, you know, because that's how that goes. Okay, so, I knew YouTube was going to become the biggest of all internet companies eventually and just never end. Okay, so anyways, actually I kind of did, and everyone thought I was crazy when I was saying that. I was like, no, it'll replace all media, you know. So here we are. So awesome. And I love how it's become like an educational mecca now. So that's great. I love that. Okay, so we got our cool walk up, and now I want. Let's see. Okay, so taking a glance, I was just kind of taking a look at this, and I want to show you this really cool technique that we can basically, we don't have to think too much for what we want to happen with these little bells. Our count here in 4/4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and this uses the and after the 4, so this is kind of like 1 and, 2 and, 3 and, 4 and. And you know what I want to happen is on the 1 and on the 3, not of the scale but of the timing, I want this bell to just accentuate that same note but with a different timing. So let's go into here, selected this measure with the crotales, and let's go here to note entry, and I got a half note, and we're going to go same note, different instrument, and it plays in a different octave anyways because it's transposing by a, and then let's go same note. You see how it's vertically in line there? You see how it vertically lined up with the timing? And then let's see, the first note in this measure is right there on that F. We want to do the same thing, but on this instrument, so we're doing just the same thing. And we know we're going by 1 third beat, first third beat. So the third beat over here is going to be this A. There we go. And the last thing, Let me go ahead and do this. Okay, I think I was going to do this later, but let's get this started. Okay, so let's get it started. Rick James. Okay, so let's go here and let's do like I want something really fast to bring out that magic. So we're there, and I'm going to go not 16th note, which is pretty fast. We're going to go crazy fast. We're going to go 32nd note, and we're going to go here, and everything happens in E here, whether it's E minor or E major. So I'm going to do this, and then the next thing I'm going to enter is going to be that third, but it's going to come out minor at first, and then I'm going to press the up arrow once I have the note entered to add the sharp to it. There we go. And then, okay, cool. Now, one thing that is a really cool thing, and one of the reasons I was able to just grab those without really thinking of it, is that when you're making a major chord and you know the scale and you start from the root, you're going to go line, very next possible line, very next possible line, and you go, well, Marcus, why don't we go very next possible line? That's because when it gets to the octave, which is a repeat of the same note, so this is an E down here, and this is an E up here, but it's an octave apart, it has that little extra jump because of all the semitones it's collected on its way up the scale. Okay? And then we're going to do this thing here because I'm envisioning what's going to happen at the end. We could change this if we want to. You see how that last note in what we just entered there is highlighted? I'm going to hold down my shift key, back this up, back this up, back this up with the left arrow and the shift key held down. Now I'm pressing Control C to create a copy. And now I'm going right out here to that rest because I want to drop a copy of what we just entered there right here. We don't want that to repeat twice, though. Instead, we want to use this magical technique of octave transpose. I just know for sure that I want those exact same notes one octave higher. So with these notes that we want to change selected, I'm going to Notes, going to Transpose, skipping all this other fancy stuff, and right here where it says by interval, yes, up, I'm selecting this scroll down menu here, and I'm choosing perfect octave. And there we go, by interval, up, perfect octave, just double checking that, clicking OK. And now it's going to repeat this. Let's take a preview there. Okay, cool. So now we have a really cool magical effect there. It's very musical, but it sounds more special effect than musical because of how fast it's happening. And it's basically taking this chord and just repeating it an octave higher, but with blazing fast little 30-second note resolutions. Okay, so now we need to bring in girls. Where are the girls? Okay, let's get to the mezzo soprano here, and we got. I want them to have like this kind of mysterious chord with a little tension. So that's going to be two voices, kind of almost working, seeming like they're working against, and then they're all going to come together and bring in two more friends. Watch. I promise that will happen. Okay, so let's go here, and I'm going to click N so we get note entry, and yeah, let's go. Let's do something kind of cool here. Okay, so let's go. We already have exact half notes up here on the crotale, so we're gonna go here, and instead I'm gonna do like a 3-1 thing, because we kind of have a 3-1 thing happening here, but I'm gonna do it in a different style here. So let's go. Okay. So I just clicked undo because I want this to actually come in on the 5th and the 8th. Fancy terms there, but because I wanted to make a little change over here, and I wanted to go up a little. Okay, so now you'll see what's going to happen is it's going to work with this, but it's going to be a little offset. That's why I chose 3 notes, and then we have, so this eats up 3 notes of our 4, and this eats up the 4th in terms of beats. Okay, so cool. We got a nice little overlap there happening. So we have this Okay, cool. Let's repeat this same timing motif over here. So I'm going to select this measure and our note entry, just doing it up there this way. And we're using the exact same type of note here, a half note with a dot. Okay, cool. So we need to switch to this. Now that's my note that I want, but I want it sharped. And I want this here. There we go. Cool. All right, perfect. Okay, so we got this happening here. Let's take a listen to that, and we're going to come out into a beautiful chord. But let's hear these two gals. You know, awesome. Okay, cool. Now the girls have to all come in together and bring their two special angelic friends, and we're going to come in here. This is going to eat up, let's see, a quarter note worth. So yeah, okay, and that'll be like something like that. Okay, very cool. We're gonna go into this measure, and with our note entry selected, we are gonna go. I want this to be a major chord. So again, remember, just gonna follow our old rule of line. But this time we're not going out with it. We just want to stack it, and this is gonna give me the minor. And I just pressed the up arrow to turn that into our accidental sharpened third there, so we get a major out of it. And then not here because we've gone up an octave and I want it dotted. There we go, top of the octave there. Okay, so back, and we're going to go. Okay, cool. Now, I notice this last guy here, kind of sticking out there. There we go. So I just selected the note there and I said, I love the pitch of the note, but I don't want him hanging out there like that. In fact, I just had a neat idea. We're going to go, instead, we're going to switch him to an eighth note, and he's going to go from this third down to the one, and then exit, you know, because that's how it's got to go. Okay, so we're going to go there, and we're going to go to our note entry. But he's going to do that really fast. There we go. So let's go back here. Okay, cool. Can't really hear this, but it has a good feel in there. So let's hang with that for now. I'm do a Control S to save what I want. So we got. So I did something like that. Okay, so now I'm doing our what do we call this sound earlier? This is our funny walk down sound. Okay, so what I'm going to do here is going to be kind of interesting. I want him to go in the timing of the twos, but I want a clear stop, not just staccato, which would be shorter notes. That's something like that. I mean, I want him to completely zero out on these, the rest, because our team there who was walking up to the book, I mean, I want it where they're practically taking a step and then stopping, and then practically taking a step and stopping. So we're going to go here and we're going to go select this quarter note here, but I want to do some things before I put the notes on there. Or is that, yeah, no, that's easier to see if I do this. Okay, so remember how we were talking about this except for that. There we go. Okay, this fancy symbol here is called the treble clef, and that gives us every good board is fine, and then in the spaces, F-A-C-E, and then we have all these different things on the ledger lines. Down here, on the contrabassoon, we have this on the bass clef, so our spaces have a different nomenclature. So we have A, C, E, G, and then on the lines we have good, boys, do, fine, always, GDBFA from the bottom up, and we are going to now enter our notes. So I'm clicking the measure I want to work in, the letter N on the keyboard, and I want quarter notes, and here's what we're going to do. I want it to be pretty. Okay, so remember ace, so that would be our E there. I want this boy to go like that, and I want that rest right there. I want it to be a rest, just like that. So I'm going to click the right arrow. It highlights the rest. I don't want to do anything to that. I want that right where it's at. And then I want to go over here, and I want to do our pitch step down. And guess what? I want that rest there again. We're going to go over here, and I'm going into the new measure now. And I want a one step below that. And I want that one, so I'm clicking right arrow. And now I'm clicking right arrow again. And I'm clicking... So I think we're gonna go to. There we go. Okay. So okay. So. Okay. So I think we should drop to something low here. Okay, so I'm just thinking about our very ending. In fact, let's take a quick listen before we drop that final. Okay, cool. Okay, so let's. So we do like a 4 notes or. Okay, I think it's going to be. I'm feeling like it's probably going to work out best as eighth notes. So I'm clicking our note entry, and we're going to go here to get at our E. We have to go down here to this ledger line. And you see how it's making a magical little line slash through the center of the note like that. That just helps us keep a guide as to our interval spacing between these other ones. Fancy term. You'll get more and more familiar with that over time if you keep going with me on these. So, and then I want this, but I want this to actually be like an eighth note. Yes, an eighth note. There we go. And then, since it already has our second note selected, I'm going to use the up arrow instead. And then this is going to go to a fifth above. So if we're on ledger line, this means let's keep that one. There we go. I wanted to affect only the second one, so I backed out of that. I'm on the second one. And this is going to not go to the line just above, but it's going to skip that one and go to the line. Okay. And then we're going to go over here to I'm clicking the right arrow. And we're just going to go. I want this one to be really short, so let's go 16th note, and we have 1, 5. I want to cap this off with an 8. There we go. And it finishes out. I love that it does that. That used to be always a pain back in the day. You'd be working something for a while on paper, and you know what I mean? You'd be like, okay, what is it going to be like a 16th note rest or whatever? Like, and it can be really complicated depending on what type of work it is, and it just slaps those in there perfectly for you. I love it. So let's hear what we have now, okay? Doing Control S because we put some work into it. Cool. I think this last note could be stronger. So with it selected, I'm going to change to, there we go. That should work. That way it'll hang out there just a little bit, okay? Okay, cool. So I like what I'm hearing. And now we have I'm going to click save here. And I'm going to click loop playback just so I can kind of take a look at our visuals with just a little, hand shifted maquette animatic type thing. So there we go. Let's get this started over here. Okay, pretty cool, pretty cool. So it kind of works in those settings. So pull out of that. Okay, so we saw that without any animation, it kind of has a cool effect. And we haven't really done anything. We don't have a big 3D world going yet or anything. But we do have this. I'm going to get rid of the loop select. And when you're ready to turn this into a game asset, so everything here is good, looks good, it sounds good. We actually don't need to take this into a program like Audacity because it has a beautiful reverb. In fact, I'm going to show you that by the time it exports, it does this little quality bump, and we're going to have, it puts this nice tail end on it. For this one, we don't need to do it. You could do that. In fact, there's all kinds of things you could do from there. And I see one last thing. Originally, just on be on the safe side, I was thinking this could go into 4 bars, but I see, well, you know what? It doesn't. It's 3. So I'm going to click this. I'm going to go up to edit here, and I'm going to slide down to measure, and then to say delete selected measure, which also the option there is control delete, by hand. So there we go. Exactly what we hear is what we see. I'm pressing Control S just to make sure nothing got funky. Let's go here. Good. Okay, cool. We are good. Okay, so now Let's go File, Export, Book Bonus version 3 as Wave. Clicking save. How fast? Oh my God! It took only that. We had to contract the orchestra. No, we didn't. We just hit export. Okay, so now we're gonna go to our file here, and I believe that was in. Let's see. Book bonus. Okay. Book bonus. Let's pull this out to here. What are we looking at? Here's something I was messing with earlier, but we just did version 3, and we're going to check this out. And how does it sound as a completed file? Kind of loud, kind of loud. Still, it sounds good. So let's take a listen to that. If we wanted to play with the levels, we could bring it into Audacity. Let's go ahead and just click it again. Okay, cool. Very good. And that particular program we just played back isn't exactly the highest quality thing in the world. It's just the natural default program in here. And if we wanted to play with any of the settings or levels on that, we could either go into Audacity and tweak that. And there's another tutorial where I showed exactly how to do that. It'd be a little redundant to do that. And plus, we don't want to extend the tutorial longer than it needs to be. And as well, we could also go back, like let's say we decided, you know what, I want those last notes on the bassoon to chill out a little bit. You know what I mean? I love this. We go to dynamics. Instead of playing around with knob, this does this the classic manner. We're going to choose piano for soft, and we're going to apply this to this guy right here. Okay? And it'll stay in that mode until it either enters another measure or enters with the dynamics, okay? Okay, kind of cool. I listen to it and I go, you know what? I liked how it was, so I'm just going to highlight it and press delete. But that was if we wanted to change any dynamics, so I just wanted to show you how you could do that. You can do that there, or if you decide the whole track needs to be hotter or quieter, you can make huge adjustments in Audacity, and I'm pretty sure that if you've checked out my other tutorials, you know how easy that is. Check out the other tutorial we have on Audacity and Musescore, and you'll see exactly how to do that and a whole lot more. So very good, my friends. Fantastic. We've learned a lot here. We learned what the key signature of E minor, which is also G major's key signature, looks like, and how it functions and how it sounds, and how to match up notes. And I'm just going to leave this on the screen for just a second. You can take a look at it. You can go back over the video at any time and try to work some of this into your own project. And be unlimited, stay unlimited. Phone call, the bat phone is ringing. Have a wonderful day, and we'll see you next time.